All right, this is the Frank man. This is the Frank dude. Even I am going to really quickly test if the audio is working, and then I will be back. So hopefully I can talk at a normal volume, and it sounds all right. I'll see you in a minute. God, I really know what I'm doing, don't I? Hi, my name is Frank. Um, this is a stream. I make games. We're gonna just start with really simple, basic things. Yeah. Right at the beginning of the stream is usually where I go over anything that has happened since the last time I was live. So pretty much after I stopped streaming till when I hit the button to go live again this morning. Yeah, honestly, not that much. I did a Tuesday afternoon stream, which I then, at the end was like, I'm going to be live tomorrow. And I realized at the end of the stream, it was Tuesday and not Monday. So my Monday got entirely taken away from a pneumonia shot. So it happens. It happens. Shit just happens sometimes. Yeah. So... yeah, what has happened since it's been a day and a half? Well, you know, the last stream we had an art account come and try and sell me some Twitch assets, you know, logos, overlays, all that shit. And they were kind of persistent about it. And I was trying to be nice about it. It was fine. But I you know, they gave them my Discord. They sent me the exact same link as the last person. So if someone else sends me the exact same link, I'm gonna roast the shit out of you. That's just how it's gonna happen. That's just how it's gonna happen. Sorry. I don't mean to be rude, but I am not gonna be putting a bunch of extra money into this. I already have a microphone. I have headphones. I have a computer that can run OBS and something else at the same time. I'm fine. Let me do my stream the way I want to do my stream. Also, it was really funny because they came in and they were like, your stream is so professional. It's so professional. And I'm like, thank you. And then they're like, do you want an overlay? And I'm like, no. And they're like, why not? It's like, well, you said my stream was professional. They need to work on their marketing tactics. I also don't know how likely it is, but they might be a scam. Because, again, I had 2 different accounts send me the same exact link and say, oh, this is my profile. So it looks like a scam. Yeah, other small things. I am going to be ending stream somewhat early today because I have to go into the Silicon Valley and meet with someone at Google. Nothing big, just someone who's hopefully gonna help me work on my resume, maybe help me find some jobs I can apply myself for. Even though layoffs are. When was the last time Google had layoffs? I can look this up really quick. The last time Google had layoffs was 53 minutes ago. That's fucked up. That's like core employees got laid off. Damn. Huh. Yeah, I looked up Google layoffs. Let me actually show you what I am seeing. And Google lays off hundreds of core employees within the last day. I thought that we had some like this earlier this week. Yeah, Google laid off the Flutter and Python groups like 2 days ago. And now we have even more. So, damn. They just cannot stop laying people off. That's fun. Okay, well, you know what? How about this? Let's not worry about the bleak state of the industry that I am going into, and let's worry about what we're doing today. Boom time. So what are we doing? Well, it's kind of gonna be a little packed of a stream. I mean, we're gonna be continuing the character controller that we were working on last time. So let's get our MS Paint list going. So today, first, it is Asset Day. It is a Thursday, and that means that Unity has decided to give everyone a free asset. So we're gonna go over that and see if it's any good, and then we're going to continue working on our client-side predictive character. And this is something that we were working on last time. It was just, I had accrued enough technical debt with the character that I was already working on that it was time that we gave it a little bit of a restart. So that's where we're at. Let me actually show you where we're at currently. We had a first-person character controller that could run, jump, crouch, slide, dash, and then do more complicated stuff like climb ladders, go through teleporters, and all that stuff. But you would do one or two of these things and it would desync, and then suddenly all of your movements would desync. So there was pretty clearly something that was wrong on the server. Now we have excuse me, we have a first-person character controller that can move around using WASTA. We can sprint, so I don't know how apparent it is, but we can walk a little bit faster if I'm holding down shift. We can jump, and that's about it. We can look around, and I spent most of yesterday getting the first-person perspective working, as well as making it so the camera it doesn't appear that other objects are jittering, and so I had to implement some sort of like frame interpolation system, because the camera's position only updates a certain number of times every second. It updates on the server's tick rate, but we want it to feel fluid, so we have to update on the frame rate that our computer is running at. And one sort of impact of this is you can see that the player model is still only updating on the server tick rate, and so we need to interpolate that as well because it is jittery. So that'll probably be our first thing. I have a few things that I want to write down. So first is the model jitter. That's number one. I'm gonna make all of this smaller because I'm writing way too big. And then when we're done with that, I have another issue with it actually, and this one's gonna be super easy to fix. And that is that if we start looking, I think it's up or down, and we move around. No. Oh, we're good. There was an issue where we could see the visor. Okay, we don't have to worry about that at all then. Sweet. Okay, so we just have camera jitter, or not camera jitter, model jitter. And then once that is done, I want to implement crouching. God, okay. We're gonna zoom in, and then I'll write it out. Crouch. and then I want to do double jumping. And this will just get us a little bit closer to where we are, where we're meant to be. I love the wicked emote. The wicked emote was the first emote I actually stole for a Discord server, because I was like, this is crazy. It's funny. How you doing? So yeah, we're gonna get double jump, and then if we have time, this is a big ol' maybe, then volumes. Now, what are volumes? These are like your water, your like a grav zone, or I'm gonna say planets. Oh, that's bad. Planets. There we go. All right, so that's sort of the plan for the day, is that we're gonna go over a Unity asset. We're gonna see if it's any good, and then we're gonna put a couple hours into our client-side predictive character, and then I'll probably end at roughly 12:30 my time, Pacific time. So yeah, let's start. What's this Unity asset today? So if you don't know, Unity actually gives out a free asset every week, every Thursday, if you go to assetstore.unity.com/publisher sale, and they'll give you a link to something with a code, and I'm gonna purchase this off screen, and by purchase, you click buy now, you put in the code, it goes to 0. You don't have to put in a credit card or anything. But I don't want to accidentally dox myself, and yeah, it auto-filled a bunch of information, so I'm glad that I moved this off screen. Okay, and while that's loading, I'm gonna actually open up another Unity project. So I have one that's just for testing assets. This one is called PBR Fighters. So let's go to, where's our asset testing one? Okay, I guess we'll make a new one. And we could just call this asset testing. Boom. So this pack is, I actually haven't like looked into it too much yet, but it seems like it's a pack of characters that you could really easily put into a fighting game. Yeah. I mean, they're called fighters. Everyone's supposed to be 15 characters. The Frank climax. Oh. Huh? What am I doing? What? Oh god. Okay, that's neat. That's a good combo. I don't play a lot of fighting games, so this probably isn't going to be as applicable to me as someone who's maybe wanting to make one. Ah. Okay. Yeah. So while Unity loads, I guess we'll just look at some of these animations. I want to see if anything is rigged. I don't really have the time today to go through and actually like set up a mini fighting game, nor do I really have the know-how. I don't really know how to make a fighting game, never done it before, but I'm sure you could do it by just, you know, sort of having a somewhat static camera and putting 2 people on a line. And you just got to set up all the controls, and that's where the depth of the game will come in. Okay, so we have a project. We have a sample project, and if we go into our package manager, we can actually import this thing. So if we look up PBR Fighters, here we go. It is how big? Will it say? I don't know if it'll say. Oh, it does right here. It's almost a gig. Okay. This is going to be a long download. Should have started downloading it well before the stream. Oh well. You win some, you lose some. Okay, so I guess while that's going, let's look at this. So I have a little interpolation system for our camera, and I want to sort of steal that and put it onto our player model. And the way that this works is we actually have a target position that we want to move our camera to. And this is what will get updated every every server tick. So I think right now it's set to 60 times a second. And then we just, every time we call late update, which is here, we call this camera smoothing function, which checks, hey, are we at our target position? If so, don't move at all. Otherwise, we either teleport it if we're too far, or we linearly interpolate to our camera position. So I'm pretty sure we can steal something along these lines and put that onto our player model. And then we should get some amount of smoothing. I'm actually going to open up our player model asset. All this does is, so far, is it takes our player pawn and it copies where the eye and the root are for our first person controller, and we replicate those values on our camera axes. The things that are holding the camera. Okay, that actually downloaded fast. Well, let's see if we can copy some of this really quick. So in our base movement, I mean, this is where we're actually going to move the character. So this is where we are going to want to save the position of the character for the player model to target. So I'm going to save a public vector 3, and this is going to be called model position target. And there we go. And that should be all that we have to actually change here. We can just steal some things or from our camera look. We can steal some fields, and we can set that up here. So I'm actually going to create a region. We're going to call this smoothing. I usually go all caps for regions. I don't know why, but that's where we're at. So I want to steal these. These are going to get used to sort of smooth out our linear interpolation, so it's not as snappy. And then we're effectively just going to copy this over. Boop, boop. And we're going to get a bunch of red. I'm going to change this to be called model smoothing. And anywhere here where it says first person camera, we can actually just make that our transform. Ooh, actually, no, we can't. No, we can't. Let me bring those back. We're going to need to hold a reference. So I believe I'll just do model transform. Oh, we need to actually declare the type. Okay. And then here we can just change this to player pawn dot target model position target. And there we go. That already should be enough, other than we need to actually call this function. If I could type private void late update, this is a built-in Unity function that's just going to get called after update. we'll just call the smoothing function. If it really is that simple, that's gonna be pretty cool. I think we'll have some issues that we'll need to fix with it, but it would be pretty cool. Oh, before I jump right into playtesting it, we do gotta actually assign a couple of references. There we go. Okay, so we're still getting some amount of jitter. So it'll be fun to see. Let's actually make sure this is getting called. So I'm just gonna give us something that'll tell us if we are actually interpolating the model's position. And we are. But we are only doing this the ticks in which we move. Interesting. So this is getting called, but it is not. I guess it's not smoothing out. That's interesting. Well, let's see, what is our... Let's just check where we're coming from and going to. And we should see what these are supposed to be. God, I keep getting jump scared by the words Frank Climax. My name is Frank. That's uncomfortable. Okay, we're gonna give this one more test, and then we'll jump into using the Unity asset, the free one, which I'm not sponsored, but you can download. Okay, so for any of these, we have to just move like a micro amount. That one is actually, it looks the same, but I guess, you know, it's probably rounding for the print statement. Okay. We'll investigate that a little more in a second. Let's see if, where's our package? Where's our PBR? Oh, we never imported it. We downloaded it, but we never imported it. This might actually take a minute and a half. Wait, what is a... Hold on. I want to actually pull up... It says kobold. Is a kobold like related to a kobold? Wow. No. Oop. Oh, that's just the... asset name. Okay, so it's characters do not have animations, but they have a humanoid rig that'll work with mocap. Okay, so we're probably not going to be able to do too much with this anyways. It'll be nice to like look at, but you'd have to get some animations. So I guess these are animations. Frank Climax is an animation. Cool. Okay. So I do wonder, like, obviously there's calls for this thing to interpolate. So why are we not? Or I guess we probably are interpolating. Let's see. So we have this model, and I mean, what could be possible is that this is trying to interpolate. And if I set this to like 4, does that change anything? Not as far as I can tell. Because I'm going to leave that at 0. I would honestly rather, I don't know how that interpolation works, so I'd rather just handle it myself. Just to confirm that late update is working. I'm going to put that there. Honestly, the best debugging method is to just put print statements everywhere. Everywhere. Know as much information as you can, and then see where things aren't exactly what you want. Yeah, so late update is being called, what is it? It's roughly every 140 seconds, or 140 times a second. Okay, so we know that. I'm just gonna save a couple of vectors here. Vector 3, we'll just call this pre-position is gonna equal our transform position. And I'm gonna throw our new transform position here, and we can just see what is getting spit out of this function. And that way it'll run every time. I don't think we're ever gonna see this call, but just in case, we'll put it in there. Okay, so we want to go here to there. I mean, that's like a tiny amount. Let's see if we can get it like a large amount. Okay. So from 3.31 to 3.32. It's just going straight to the next one, I think. I mean, I wish that I could see full float values. Ultimately, we can't. But you can see that, like, here, our model interpolation is supposed to go from 3.23 to 3.26. And we just go straight to 3.26. There's no amount of smoothing. We're just jumping to the value, which is probably why if we clear this out, we get about as many server ticks as have happened. Yeah, like if I hold the button down for about a fifth of a second, we get about 12 server ticks. So something here is interpolating to I don't know. It's just I mean, let's see. I don't think the teleport is being called. But just in case, is teleport being called? I really doubt it. Oh, we had one teleport. Oh. We have a bunch of teleports. Okay. That could be an issue. What is our distance then? Yeah, let's see what this distance is. Okay, point 1. Oh. Oh. If our distance is less than that, we teleport. I think we want it to be greater. And actually, I'm going to go pull up where I stole this code from. And we're going to see. It should be greater than or equal to the teleport distance. Hold on. If I change it here, does that affect our camera smoothing? Because it sort of like worked out, but that would be interesting. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of all of these debug log calls because it's actually slowing the game down. And I'm gonna build it, which is gonna take like 5 whole seconds. And we're gonna see if we're getting jitter around this red cube. It's really easy to notice on the corners of the cube. I don't know. There's probably gonna be some extra jitter on the stream because I'm looking at it at 144 hertz, and the stream is probably at most 60. Yeah, there is a tiny amount there. Okay, so what if we keep this at greater than and we leave the other one at what it should be? That's pretty smooth. You know what it also could be? It could be the fact that we are now smoothing the camera as well as the model. Because the model is actually being attached, or the camera is attached to the model. So if I actually move this and just put it here, it is possible that could fix it. Ooh. Okay, that doesn't sync the rotation though. Fun. Okay, so we want to revert that. Put that back there. And then what if we just call return here? Let's just null and void that function for a second and see if that changes anything. Yeah, I think by smoothing the model, we not only, because that smooths the position of the camera itself. I think we don't actually need to smooth the camera. We can just smooth the model and we're good. Let me build this and then we'll confirm that this is the better strategy. Boom. Select the folder. Okay, that's the better strategy, is to not only smooth the camera, but just smooth the entire model ourselves. There we go. And that way we can have a set tick rate, but we don't actually need to have a set frame rate. Boom. Cool. Okay. So let me clean this up actually, because we don't need to do any camera smoothing anymore, which is good because I don't really want to handle that on here anyways. We can get rid of that. And this has, these have 0 references, and this has no references. So let's confirm that that's still working. There we go. No, I forgot something. Let's build it. This should take 2 more seconds. 2. There we go. Alright, we're smoothed. And if I drag this off to the side and we open another one, that is just going to be the client. It's the same thing. We're smoothed. We can move around. We can see the camera positions for other players. So I can actually go to this other one and you can see me moving around. There we go. So other than there being a little bit of jolt for jumping, which we're gonna need to fix, that's an instantaneous event. It's kind of hard for instantaneous events to sort of be synced up. But this is pretty good. This is pretty good. Okay. It's gonna get a lot worse when we add in some delay, some actual ping. Let me push this. Okay. All right, you can come back. And I think that's officially, so I have this Obsidian note, which is sort of just tracking my progress with this client-side predictive character controller. And last time we started with a base character, and then we decided that if we're gonna use a character class or just the character movement thingy, which is a component that Easy Character Movement 2 provides. And I actually chose character class, and then we went with character movement. That's modelment, movement. And then we split the player character into, which is one script, into a pawn and a driver. This way we can split up simulation logic and input logic. And then I spent the last couple of days getting this to be first person. So we have a root and an eye system, yada, yada, yada. Now we just need to do crouch, jumping, sprinting, and then I can make a video on this, which will be fun. All right. Let's actually look at this goddamn asset. It's been a whole minute. Fighters pack, demo scene. Is this okay? The lighting is not great. It is Unity lighting. I don't actually think that this does much. Some of these are pretty cool. I mean, this guy, he's given Halo Grunt. This guy's given Mortal Kombat. Is there any other ones that just like immediately jump out to me? This guy's given Tekken. Is there a bear? Yeah, there's a bear. This guy's given Tekken. But yeah, this is, I mean, it seems like the characters look pretty good. I'm sure that lighting is not making them, it's not, they could look a lot better if it wasn't for the default Unity lighting right now. If I swap to a different rendering pipeline, they'd probably look a little more decent, but you'd have to edit the materials. Yeah. So I guess go check it out. We can get rid of that. Sweet, now back to my very basic, simple stuff that I just get to do today. So I guess the next thing is crouching. And I know in their, it's either first-person controller or first-person character, they have crouch stuff, but they have two different cameras. I'm gonna put this over here. The way that they handle crouching is they crouch or they uncrouch the character itself. And I don't exactly know what that does other than say, hey, have we pressed or stopped pressing a button? and it's not clear to me exactly what that does. And then they just change where the camera gets set. How do I explain this? They have two different cameras. They have a camera for the height when you're at a normal height, and they have a camera which is for crouched height, and they just swap those on the crouched and uncrouched events. I don't know if I necessarily want to do that. I think my ideal system, like obviously we have like a crouched height, or this is normal. This is the normal height, and this is crouched height. So for me, I think we should like actually interpolate to this point over time. If you press crouch, you should start going this way, and then if you press uncrouch, you should start going that way. Which just means that we get to save a couple of heights on our pawn. Ooh, okay. So there's a few things that we're going to need. I'm gonna finish that out. There's a few things we're gonna need to do for crouching. One is obviously we're gonna need an uncrouched height, so a public float uncrouched height, which I'm gonna set to 1.5 by default, and we want a public float for crouched height, not height, which I'm just gonna set as a blanket 1 unit. Then we're also gonna need a float for the max speed crouched, which I'm gonna, what is, like we have 8, 5, so we'll set this at 3. And then we're gonna have to go here, and we have our max speed function, and we're gonna want to check if crouch button pressed, which is a variable we're gonna make in a second, return max speed crouched. Okay, and so now we have a, like, oh, that's jumping. For sprinting, all we have is one function, which takes in a Boolean value and says, hey, are we pressing or are we not pressing this button? So we can just copy this for crouching. I'm going to call this set crouch. And similarly, I'm actually going to, because sprint seems like a one-time thing, I'm going to change this to set sprint. There we go. That should fix any sort of error we have there. So set crouched. Crouch button pressed, save to that value. And then we can, in our actual input capturing, we can now capture a crouch. So public read only bool crouch. I'm gonna put it here, just keep the ordering the same. This dot crouch equals crouch. Okay, and that's gonna really yell at us in here, in which we're going to actually need to hold a crouch boolean, which I'm just gonna act like it exists right now. And then I don't know where I put all of these. It's not in camera look movement, on behavior, fields. It's fields. Okay. Private bool crouch is false. Okay, so now we need to actually capture that. So in our movement, we're gonna just check if how did they do it? They did left control or C. We'll just take both of those. Then crouch is true, and that should be all we need from that for now. And then we can take our crouch. That's wonderful. I don't know why I keep doing that. I keep hitting a double slash. Player pawn dot set crouch md dot crouch. There we go. Just so that we get that before we move, and very much like sprint, that will control our maximum speed. So if I hold down control, if I hold down C, does not seem like we are actually, doesn't seem like we're actually changing the speed at which we move. Crouching, max speed, crouched. We can get rid of the player model. I don't think we're gonna need to touch that for a while. Okay. We've got to have... That's an error. Is there any others? Come on, yell at me. Please. No? Okay. Well, we can at least check if we're crouching. That would be the first thing to check. So debug.log md.crouch. All right, and if we play, what is this? What does this look like? False. If we hold down control, it's true once. Okay. So that would explain some things. Pretty sure we need to change get key down to get key. So get key down handles it, the key being pressed down, and it is a one-time event. It is instantaneous, whereas get key can be a continuous event, which is what we want. Someone just finished a workout, and my watch needed to tell me. Okay, that actually should fix it. That makes sense. Okay, let me do this. So we move slower when we're crouched. We just don't actually have the height change. And even if we're sprinting, crouching takes precedence. Cool. Okay, we can get rid of this debug log now. And set crouch is working at least for the speed. So now the fun part is we get to set we'll just have this be a private float, and we'll call this the target height, which we'll just set to the, what did I press? We'll just set to the default 1.5 units. I actually should look and I should see what our character's camera height is normally. So our root is up 1.5. So 1.5 is our root. Okay. Okay, so now we get to do the fun part, which is we get to determine what our target height is. So if the crouch button is pressed, actually, I'm going to do it this way. If the crouch button is not pressed, return. And then, so we'll set the crouch, and then we'll handle crouching. So this will be our camera height. Player pawn dot crouching. So the way that I think this is going to work is that we are going to modify the Y value. Oh, it's gonna need to load for a second. No, we already have that open. Okay, so we want to change the Y value of this root. And that will actually, it should correspond with where we move our camera. So if we set this to, actually, let's do this live and see how it looks live. So if I create a client, let's go here. Let's take our root and let's set this to 1. And I don't actually know if that changed anything. No. Because we don't actually sync that. If we change this to 1, that lowers our camera. Yeah, okay. So then we actually, I said I needed to close the player model. We don't. We want here, we don't need this anymore because we don't have the debug log. So in our update, we actually want to, so this will just be, is it parity, the rotation? From the motor, and we're actually going to want to, before that, parity the position from the motor. I know how to type, but we only need to worry about the root position. So local position, there we go. Oh, it's telling me to stand. I'm going to do that in a second. So now if we go here and we change our root position, it should in real time update the model position. There we go. Okay. So that's fun. Now we can close the player model. That's fine. I don't actually think we need to store this. So we can decide the target height of the character. We can do, ooh, okay. We'll just run this all the time. So this will be, okay, so basically this target height, if we are crouched, I'm changing this so that the whole function's gonna run every single time, which is fine. And so we're gonna use the ternary operator to decide either between our crouched height and our uncrouched height for where we should actually leave our camera. So we have our target height, and now we're going to want to move our root object to this height. And that's the part that I think is going to be fun, because I mean we can just debug log this target height right now, and we can see that when we're crouching it's going to be lower. And what we can do is just do what they do and instantly move us down. But I feel like that is going to be a little too much of a like a blink. It's going to be a little too distracting. So yeah, look at that. Okay. So we can debug that. Yeah, I mean, we can just set the local position to our target height. Or God, I'm really good at typing today. So this should just straight move us up and down. And I'd actually love to see if this is going to get parodied. So if I hit control, we move down. It's actually not too bad. It is very jittery. It's not that great. And let's see, does it move our visor down? It does. Okay. So if I build this, I just want to see if we move the visor down on the other, God, what's it called? On the client. On the client. And then once I'm done with testing this, I'm going to take a 1 minute break and stand up. Okay. So we have a character. I'm going to move this character to the side. And then I'm going to start a client here. And we're going to look around. And you can see that, yes, in fact, we do crouch. So cool. That's good. All right. I'm going to take a 1 minute break. And then when I'm back, we will smooth that out. So I'll be back in a minute. Alrighty. Okay. We're back. We're back. So all we gotta do now, in terms of getting our crouch working, is actually making it smooth out. And I think there's gonna be two components to this. I mean, first is actually smoothing it, and then the second is keeping track of where we are, so that way we can reconcile that on other clients. That way we can see where in the crouch we are, so it's not as jittery for everyone. So I want to do sort of, I guess, a similar setup to the models interpolation, which means that we are going to have to bring back the late update call. Man. Okay. And then in our mono behavior, we'll add back that private void late update. Boom. And we'll just call smooth crouching. I'm gonna add a little comment. Smooth out our into / out of crouch camera. Okay. So let's see, how do we want to do this? I mean, I think we should take we have these. We don't need to calculate our target time. Actually, we do. We'll just set this here. So our target height, we'll do that. Or, you know what? Actually, let's change this to a vector 3. And we'll call that our target height. This is our float. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that'll have to have the position of our camera change, and I don't think anything will change the position of our camera the way that this will. I'm thinking potentially having camera shake could cause some issues, but that shouldn't change the position of it, I don't think. So we'll set our camera target to this, and then here we can pretty much just copy this, and I'm going to change this to smoothing time. We can just change, cover that. Boom. Okay. So the first thing is we want to change those two references, and then that one. Yep. Okay. If root pivot dot position does not equal our, ooh, let's call this root target because it's not actually on the camera. It's not equal our root target. Okay. Okay, I want to see if that works. Plug and play. I doubt it, but it's possible. You never actually know until you check it, until you test it. It would be really cool if it was plug and play, though. Ooh, something is messed up. Okay, we want this to actually be not position, but local position, or else it's never gonna not plug and play. Unfortunate. That's fine though. If I just do position, How many places have I missed? I think we're good. Okay, we'll save that. If we just do normal position, it'll stay in the center the entire time. And that's not what we want. Doesn't feel like it's actually being smoothed. Debug.log. Crouch smoothing. So let's make sure that that's being called. And then I want to see if teleport is being called. And then I want to add the distance. Okay. Okay. So we are teleporting. It's interesting. Oh, it's because it's less than. So is it just wrong on the player model then? I mean, I guess the code works. Let's change that. It should be smoothing out. So it's definitely smoothing. The only thing is sometimes it feels like it goes twice. Huh. I wonder if it... I would love to be able to consistently replicate that issue. But it seems alright. I mean, this is like a worst case scenario in terms of like, are things jittery or not? It looks pretty alright. It looks pretty alright. I don't actually see too much jitter that isn't maybe caused by lag from engine overhead. Seems pretty okay to me. So if we go here, yeah, this looks fine. It's good with me. There's a little bit of jitter when you go up and down. But it's looking all right. Okay, now is going to be the super fun part, which is, can we run 2 clients, and can the second one just exist and be okay crouching up and down, or will it desync? I mean, because all of the actual smoothing is happening locally, I think this is okay. I don't actually think we need to add anything to our replicate struct other than maybe the is crouching part, but because it's all determined based on input and the input has to go through the server, it should be fine. Should be fine. So I'm okay with this. So we've smoothed it out. Okay. So now the hard part is going to be that we need to possibly have an event in which we call on crouch and on uncrouch. Just so that way, because on crouch, everything right now is handled fine, but I'm thinking in the future we're going to want to be able to on crouch, potentially slide if we are sprinting. So it might be worth calling that. Might be worth calling that. But I'll add that in when it's necessary. I'm not gonna I don't really want to add anything that isn't absolutely necessary just yet. Okay, I'm spending a whole second organizing. We can save that. Okay, I'm gonna take this off screen and let's add everything to Git. Smoothly and changes walking speed. Okay. Boom. Cool. So that's crouching. I'm really happy that this is still like under 200 lines. Or it's about 200 lines. If we just got rid of gap lines and region names, it'd be under 200. So I'm very happy with that. Yeah, so that's crouching. It's actually, hold on. I've had this MS Paint document open. Let's we did asset day, we fixed the model jitter, and we did crouch. So now it's double jump and maybe volumes. God, that's there we go. Now, double jump, I actually don't really have any. People sit. I don't have any sort of like necessary ideas for how to get double jump working. I'd actually probably want to spend some time and figure out how the character class does jumping. I can't show off too much of this because it is not my code and it is from a paid asset. So let's see, because they have a bunch of jump stuff. They have like an on landed event. Which is fun. Sorry, I'm writing down to use velocity for fall damage instead of a height, because velocity can go based on any direction, and height, not necessarily. Yeah, so there's 241 calls for jump. I don't know what reset jump state does, but they do have a current jump count. I believe they have. Yeah, they have some a significant amount of stuff to build in. I don't necessarily think that I need all of this, but you know, that's fun. There's gonna be a lot of stuff. Huh. Yeah, I have no idea how to deal with that. That's a lot. Like, you just see in the sidebar. Oh, never mind. You can see in the sidebar how much of this script is dedicated to jumping. And it's only 3,400 lines. Only. Easy. You know, not that much stuff. God. Okay. And right now we just have this, which checks, are we grounded? And if not, we pause the ground constraint and we set the velocity for a little bit. Okay, well, so the first thing that I want to add in is a public, well, actually we should decorate this with a header. Jumping. So I'm going to move the jump impulse down here. Is there anything else related to jump? No. And I want to also add a public int for max number jumps. All right, max jump count. I think that's what they called it. It's just more concise. I'm going to set it to 2 so I don't have to remember to change it. And also in Castle Wars, the game that I'm working on, it is by default 2. And then lastly, we want a public bool, can jump ever, which is true. Okay. God, this is gonna be interesting. I don't know how to start implementing this. I know I just wrote down a couple of notes. One is that we should actually have a public bool here for can crouch, can create can crouch ever, which should be true by default. And then we can create a public bool for is crouching, which is just gonna be is the crouch button pressed and can crouch ever. And then here we can change this to is, maybe is crouched is a better way of putting that. And then it's sort of the same thing for sprinting. I guess we'll spend a couple of minutes and clean some stuff up. So sprinting, public bool, can sprint ever, which I'm gonna just by default set to true. And then we'll have a public bool called is sprinting, which is just gonna be sprint button pressed and can ever sprint. And then we can actually go into this one field. Instead of just checking this, we can check is crouched, and we can check is sprinting. Man. Okay. And then it would probably be worth it to move this down to here. Okay. Just to clean up our inspector a little bit and give us a couple more options as to what we're allowed to do. So if I start the game, we can actually look in the inspector at this. So we have our pawn. Now we can look around. Can we sprint? Yes. And now we turn that off, and we cannot sprint. Cool. We're crouched, and if we turn off can crouch ever, I'm hitting the button, can't crouch. Okay. This is super specific. I just realized that this is not, needs to be capitalized. And now here, this is looking better. We have crouching, jumping, and sprinting. So how do we get this working? Oh, actually, I want to hide the model position target, which is somewhere. Because it's public, but we don't need to see it. There we go. So now we have our camera look stuff. And then we have crouching, jumping, and sprinting, which is, I think that's good. Then we just have our normal motor stuff. I think we could probably get rid of the rotation rate. I actually don't think that is necessary. Sweet. And then just for personal preference, I'm going to put this on one line. This is me being really, really anal about, just how we are organizing things. Yeah. So now we have a pretty neat and tidy player pawn. Our player driver, I mean, we have camera look stuff in both, but this is, I mean, it's actually not even camera look. This is more input stuff, and this is our actual camera look stuff. So we're going to change this to camera look input. Okay. And now I got to stop sandbagging, and I need to actually start working on the jump. So this will be fun. How do we want to do this? Because we have a jump call, which is instantaneous. Character movement, that is grounded return, that's fine. I'm going to make a little can jump call. Well, first I'm going to make a private int for current jump count, which is going to equal 0. And then a public bool. That is not how you spell public. Public bool called can jump, which right now is just going to consist of a can jump ever. And current jump count is less than max jump count. Okay. We are going to need a void to reset jump count. Don't actually know where to put this, but current jump count equals 0. That is current ground. Current jump count equals 0. Oh, we never arrowed it out. So we'll have to figure out when we landed, and I wonder actually, character movement dot. Oh, we do have a launch character. What do we have? We have a bunch of ons. These are almost all mono behavior ones. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Okay, so character on landed. So we get this when the movement mode changes, but I actually well, this is gonna require a set movement mode call from falling to walking. Oh, okay. If we're grounded, we can reset that. Okay. Cool. All right. Then maybe in our mono behavior on awake, character movement dot on. Okay. Well, we call jump only on when we're actually jumping, because let me just show this really quick. That's movement. Methods. So if we are jumping, we call jump. And then I'm going to say handle jumping. Check for resets. Jumping, and then we can add a void called jumping. Okay, so check if we can reset the jump count. So if character movement dot is grounded, we can reset jump count. No, not reset. Just reset jump count. And that way this will get called every single time we have a physics update, a server tick. Those are on the same thing. Okay. Okay. So if we can't jump, return. The way that I'm setting this up, and it might require some debugging, is that we first check if we can ever jump. And then we also check if our jump count is less than our max jump count, or we are grounded, which would mean that we've already reset our jump count. To be fair, we could probably just check this and get away with that, because if we are grounded, we would have already reset the jump count. I'm gonna do that first. So if we can't jump and our current jump count is less than the max jump count, less than or we'll just do less than. It'll start at 0. We will have jumped once, so we'll set it to 1 when we do that. So if we can jump, then we also want to increase jump count. Current jump count plus equal 1. I know you can do plus plus. I don't like doing it that way. This to me is more universal. I don't know. It feels better. It just does. Be mad. Okay. So if we start this, we can jump twice. I mean, that just kind of looks like it's working. Interesting. Okay. I'm going to build this, and I want to see if that just straight works on another, on just the client. I mean, I guess I set it up so it should work, but let's see. 1, 2. Okay, so that's pretty smooth on the server. And now the server can jump. There is definitely still some amount of jitter when non-host players, or when you're looking as a non-host at someone else, because you're sort of reconciling. There's like a little bit of a jolt. So that would be interesting. But other than that, it's pretty smooth. And I don't think that there's any desyncing happening. In fact, if we go over here, we can look at what is happening there. Why do we have a little bit of jitter again? Okay. Well, we might be revisiting our camera smoothing solution. but it looks fine on the host. It's just that when we swap over to our host and we double jump, it's not as smooth. There's more of a immediate hop, which has been plaguing us the entire time. So that'll probably be a bug that we need to iron out. So observing a jump as a non-host, there is a little bit of a jolt at the start of the jump. And then bug camera jitter is back. And I actually wonder if we just go to our model script and we change this back. If that alone is going to be enough to fix that camera jitter again, which is possible. Build. And this is happening on the server too. So if we just look here. Yeah, that, as far as I can see, fixes the jitter. So, all right. Well, cool. What do we... Whoa, I didn't know that was a thing you could do on Windows. Okay, hi. I had a bunch of things open. Would have rather you left them all open. Great, thank you. Why? I guess if you want to clear something quickly, I don't know. I needed to keep my brain entertained. I need to move things around constantly. Okay, I'm gonna move this off screen, and I am going to write down. I'm gonna add everything to git and push. So git commit. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I actually want to really quickly see if there is... Oh, we have something open. I want to edit the max number of jumps. And I want to set it to... I mean, we can really do whatever we want. So 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then we can't do anything else. Cool. All right. So that is configurable then. So now I guess the only other issue with jumps would be that little jolt that we see when we are observing someone as not the host. So if I start the host here, and I'm gonna just position myself up there. We can start a client here, and everything seems fine on both. But then if I swap over to this guy, you can see the little jolt that we are getting It's especially noticeable when we jump for the second time. And if we jump right as we get grounded. So there's probably something that we need to reconcile better there. I'm honestly not sure, but it would be worth looking at what other... Ooh, that's trippy. Whoa. Because it is currently tracking my mouse movement, it's moving at the same time as I'm moving the window, and it does not like that. But it's cool, kind of, because it looks like you can look around by moving the window. That's neat. I actually think that's a really cool effect. Because it's like... Okay, hold on. Yesterday I was making a list of like game ideas. I actually want to make that a thing. You move the window around to sort of move your view. Oh, that's actually like a unique... That's an interesting game idea. Okay. Moving a window around on the screen changes your viewport. Okay. In game. Okay. Cool. So I guess what something's happened today? I mean, we need to reconcile stuff. So I have access to the FishNet examples because I have actually donated to them. So I'm gonna take a look at the FPS land character controller, and I want to see maybe if we can what's on the client instance. Okay, that's not it. We don't need that. Motors, reconcile data. So they have actually a specific vertical velocity. Okay. Where do they implement reconcile? Here we are. So they have a specific vertical velocity one. So maybe if we reconcile with the vertical velocity, that will add it. Add vertical velocity to reconcile struct is the note that I'm writing down. Oh, that is my... We can move my code over, that's fine. Yeah, so they take the vertical velocity, which is just a float that they store, and it gets set where? Vertical velocity equals jump height? Oh, when you jump, it sets it to... that. Okay, jump height is actually, it's an impulse here. So we take this jump height, and it's actually how high to jump, so that's fine. And then they jump, and then when they... If we're replaying, we check if jump is false, and there's like a jump interval for next allowed jump time. I don't actually care about that, but what I do care about is this. So we'll take the vertical velocity, put that into our reconcile struct, and then only increase time if we're not replaying. Okay, interesting. Okay. Let's see. I mean, realistically, we have all of the velocities, so I'm not 100% sure why we are keeping that one separate. What do we actually do with this vertical velocity? Because when we jump, we set it. But where do we actually like read from it? Velocity y is the vertical velocity. So, oh god, this is a long function. So in their move function, they take the move rate, or so they get their input, and then they, I guess, dampen it, whatever. And then they multiply their x and y movement by the move rate, or x and z, so flat ground stuff. And then they add in their vertical velocity, which gets set by jumping. Okay. Interesting. Okay, well, I guess let's store a vertical velocity here in our reconcile struct, which is here. So public read only float vertical velocity. And then this goes right after the velocity. So float vertical velocity. Put that there. I mean, realistically, we'll just take this vertical velocity. Now when we create our reconcile data, here we're gonna want character movement dot velocity dot y. Oh, boom. Because what we're doing when we jump here is we set its vertical velocity to the max of what it already is, or the jump impulse. Yeah. Okay. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to understand why that like changes anything, because we're already sending the velocity and using that. I'm gonna get rid of this. Oh, that was the wrong one. And now we just don't want to send that, because we will have a reconcile data, a vertical velocity in our reconcile data. Like if we, I'm gonna actually just do this on if we're not the owner. If not is owner, then I want to debug log the y component, which is the vertical part of our velocity. And then we can start another client. So we'll make this guy the server. Oh, actually, hold on. Let's make the other one the server. And then we'll put a client there and a client here. Okay, so we don't have any debug logs because we own the only one that was jumping. But, whoa. So let me really quick clear that. And then let's uncollapse it. And now we can just look at our data. So we have a bunch of zeros. It'll be fine if we have it collapsed. So we have a bunch of zeros. And then it starts at something really high, which is why we get that sort of jolt. I don't actually, I think that's intended. And then it will slowly go back down to 0 until we start getting negative values, which means that we are falling. Now, this is going to be potentially more of an issue later on, because we're actually not, that's not mine. When we implement gravity, we're not going to be just checking the velocity y, which is why I'm actually okay leaving in the entire velocity vector. But I am unsure as to why we have some amount of stutter. I'm going to do a really quick search on the FishNet Discord for just the word jump. Jump stutter? My jumping stutters and so on, throwing my phone on the code somewhere. Okay, we will just look at this really quick. I mean, I know interpolation is a possible fix for this, so maybe, like, we don't use interpolation for anything other. We only use our own interpolation. We don't actually use their built-in one, so I guess I'll build it really quick and we'll see if that changes anything. Jumping works fine on the host, but as the client, it shakes and only jumps. I mean, it's only when we observe jumping. When I jump, I stutter a lot. Yeah, well, this is old. Hold on. Where was it? I think that it was CSP in the old forum, and it bring me here. Overall results, even if they aren't directly jumping, causes stutter. Okay. Only for a short period of time, then the player will resync. I guess it depends on the type of game you're making. Okay. Let's run a couple of these and see if that is the issue. Okay, that's just a client. Okay, so we definitely still have a little bit of a jolt. Actually, I think interpolation made it worse. It's possible that it made it worse. Okay, so we'll reset that. I've never actually gotten interpolation like this, like actually working in a way where it seemed like it was interpolating anything. It doesn't. Never had it actually smooth anything out. Okay. What else do we have? Only for a short period of time. I think the keyword. Is there anything here? Almost all of these end up being client-side prediction stuff. Someone's saying I need to check my jump code. I got it with the host. It works fine on the host, but the client is super jittery. I've got debug statements. Okay, so jump logic, if the velocity equals velocity x, move speed y, velocity z. Okay. I think that, honestly, that looks fine. So. Okay. I don't really want to post everyone's issues here. I'm unsure. I'm kind of just unsure as to what it could be. I know that there are, I mean, there's FishNet examples, so maybe if we look at some of the demos for, where is prediction 2, rigid body, maybe in here, there is a jump. This class is currently being used for testing and is not considered an example to follow. Okay. Let's close out prediction V1. I think this actually only uses prediction V1. Okay, so yeah, makes sense. Okay, we'll look at this one then. Scripts, character controller for prediction V2. So we have a jump boolean, which means that there's some amount of jump. They have a vertical velocity as well as a position. And a jump force. So this is probably similar to what we are doing. And see, when they create a reconcile, they send the vertical velocity. This is a very simple example, I believe. When we move, we grab our vertical velocity, which is gravity times a delta. I guess. That's fine. I mean, we set the velocity. That's okay. And then we move the character according to some forces. And then when we reconcile, we just save the vertical velocity. So it could... I really... I don't know. I don't know. Now, what we can do is we actually still have some default. If I just look up player, we can go to our network manager and we can check this old player. Now, this is not going to be first person or anything, but it will be maybe something closer to what we're looking for. Or we can at least see if it works. So if we start a client here, this is the server. And we can start one here. Okay, so something that is, it's working here. So it's something that we have changed. Because there is no jolt. It actually just, like, it's slightly out of sync, but that's fine. It just starts on a different frame, and then acceleration gets out of the way. So there's got to be something there. Like here, if I just look up, or let's look at our prefab. Let's go that way. I've never been able to just straight find this player controller script. Because here we have our character movement, and I mean, this is all input stuff, so we don't need that. But when we simulate, we just calculate a velocity, and we just take this velocity and we give it there. So something that we are doing possibly overwrites that. So guess what? Have we changed anything here? Constrained to ground, constrained to ground. That looks almost identical. The only thing that we have added is our look rotation. That looks fine. We can get rid of that debug log. God, I don't know. And even the jump code, it realistically should be the same. Because like here, we call jump if we are jumping. But realistically, this md.jump, same thing as here. And then we go to our pawn, because that is what has jump called. And we check, I mean, we don't check if we're grounded. But unless that's it, if can jump here. This is gonna break our max jump count. But if adding back our character movement dot is grounded fixes it, because that's something that's reconciled and it's something that we ignore. If that fixes it, then we have some idea as to what we need to change. Oh god, my watch is yelling at me to stand up. Okay, let's make 2 of these. Okay, I'm gonna do that, and then we want to go here, start a client, jump up, and just look. Ooh. Okay, it's that. So, there's still a little bit of a jolt. I mean, it could be worse. Yeah, there's still a little bit of a stutter. So something is not being reconciled properly, but I don't think it's that. Okay. So it's not the ground constraint. That's good. Okay. We pause the ground constraint and we set our velocity there. Okay. I don't know. I think I'm gonna need to sit on this. I have been working on this now for close to 2 hours, and I haven't eaten today. So I think what I'm gonna do, since I realistically I was gonna end stream roughly sometime soon, anyways, I'm gonna call it here, and I'm gonna work on this sort of in some off time. I have a bunch of things I gotta do today. I gotta go drive about an hour, meet with someone at Google, assuming that they still have their job, and then come back over here and go to a concert, which is going to be a lot of stuff. It's going to be a lot of stuff, and I don't particularly have too much time outside of that, so it's probably where I'm going to call it. I hope that you have enjoyed the stream. If you've been watching, it's been nice. Yeah. I will be back on Monday, hopefully. 9:30, 10 a.m.-ish to 2. And I'll try and eat so I can actually do the whole stream. I don't think I have anything planned that will override any of that. So hopefully you enjoyed it. I will see you all on Monday. Peace.